Welcome to Pop Culture Retro, which was recently voted the 15th best podcast by the residents of Golden Years Retirement Community in Boca Raton, Florida. Each show will revisit some of your favorite pop culture memories with insider and outsider perspectives. Now, please help me welcome your hosts, Moosie Drier and Jonathan Rosen.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of Pop Culture Retro. I'm Jonathan Rosen, along with Moosie Drier, and today we are honored to welcome four of the stars of one of the most iconic shows in television history, Little House on the Prairie, which is coming to the end of its 50th year anniversary celebration by having a big reunion at Strathearn Historical Park in Simi Valley between December 12th and December 14th, and you can get tickets for the event at Little House on the Prairie castreunions.com. And to talk about it, please help us welcome Alison Arngrim, who played Nellie Olson, Rachel Greenbush, who played Carrie Ingalls, Patrick Labyorteaux, who played Andy Garvey, and Charlotte Stewart, who played Miss Beadle. Thank you all for joining us today.
Hey, welcome, guys. So, Patrick, I'm a little nervous. I haven't heard a word from you since we signed on. So, I'm like,
is he okay?
I don't speak until I get paid.
Okay. So we have a lot to cover. Let's start by going around. I want to ask you guys how Little House on the Prairie first came into your lives. What do you remember about the auditioning process and meeting Michael? Or Charlotte, let's start with you.
Okay. Well, I had never heard of Little House on the Prairie. I didn't know that was a book. I had no idea, but I used to do lots of Westerns, Gunsmoke, Bonanza, etc. And I was called to do a reading for a teacher. That's all I knew. And when I walked in the room, of course, the first person I saw was Michael Landon. And I thought to myself, oh my God, this is big. So yeah. I just, and I was dressed like a hippie. I was a hippie in 1973. I had my tie-dye shirt on and I was wearing my jeans and so they asked me if I was ready to read. I said to the producer, may I sit in your chair? Oh my God, everybody in the room was going, who does she think she is? Blah, blah, blah. And I walked up there and I said, quiet. Well, got the part, didn't I?
Okay, you're a great actress, but that's where you booked the role right there. Can I,
right there.
Boom.
Can I see it right?
Be quiet, Nellie.
Rachel, what was your experience like?
Well, my sister and I had done Sunshine, and Joe Sargent, who directed Sunshine, he had recommended us to Michael, but really we got the part on Little House on the Prairie due to my father being an actor, and just so happened they were looking for twin girls the age that we were, and the call came into my dad's casting agent looking for a little girl. And his friend, who he was arranging a reading with his agent to see if they would carry him, Milt Cogan, who ended up being the doctor on E.T. that announces E.T. dead, said, well, Billy Greenbush has two twin girls that age. He's with this casting office. You might give him a call and see if he's interested. Well, my mom answered the phone and she was interested. So she brought us into the interview and they took us into the room with Michael and Mr. Friendly and shut the door and to see if we were workable, if we'd cry without our mom, and see how that would go. And it just so happened that I have a twin brother that's 2 years older than me. And my mom was so overwhelmed with having a young son that was on the go at 2 and 2 twin daughters. Anybody that saw us and thought we were cute, she's like, here, you want to hold them? Here, you want to hold them? Here, you want to hold them? So when it came to doing Little House, we weren't afraid to be with strangers or other people. So it really worked out to Michael's advantage. And that's how we got the part. Really, he just wanted to see if we would interact with him. If he said, like, can you say hi, Pa? If we could mimic or return, or, if he tickled us, if we'd smile, and all those kind of natural reactions.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Could you hold these girls for the next 14 years? Alison?
Well, it's the same thing. It's so funny how many of us had not read the Little House books and really didn't know anything about Little House on the Prairie. Went, oh, some shows casting. And I was even more confused because I had come in for an audition sometime before for the role of Laura and read for Mary, which clearly I am wrong for. And when I came back, they said, you have to come back and read for Little House. And I said, no, that's done. They made the pilot and it's over, and they cast those two girls. And I didn't know there was a Nellie Olson. I had absolutely no idea what I was reading for until I got there. And then when I saw the pages, I turned to my father and I think this is not a normal part. This girl, she's awful. And then I read it for him and he starts laughing hysterically and says, do not change a thing. I mean, don't read it again. Don't even, he put the pages face down and said, don't look at them. Just don't even look, just do that. And I went in and it was the same thing, Michael and Friendly and the guys and Kent. And I started reading it and the three guys that Michael included started laughing so hard. And then they said, could you do it again, please? And being good little child actor said, yes, what would you like me to change? And they said, nothing, just read the thing about the house again. And it was my home speech. And yeah, I nailed it. I was hired immediately.
Oh.
Does anybody picture a different actress playing Nellie Olson? Like, I don't. It was like, they had no choice but to and that's not, I've told you this before, Alison, that's not what a bitch. No. And I only say bitch because it's part of the title of your book.
No, I mean, that's what I said. I turned to my father, I said, she's a bitch. My father said, what? And I said, no, really, look at this. So yeah, I nailed it. I mean, but I think it was the thing about the dishes. We have 3 sets of dishes, one for every day and one for Sunday, and one for when someone very important comes to visit, which we have never even used yet.
Nice.
Like you idiot, you don't know anybody, and you have this.
One for every day, one for Sunday, and one for when someone special and very important comes to visit, which we've never even used yet.
No, we went home, and by the time we got home, Agent was on the phone, and it was all over.
I love it. 99 out of 100 actors would call that character delicious to play. Right?
I loved it so much.
Yeah, I imagine. So, Patrick Labyorteaux.
Okay, well, as you know, my twin brother Matthew and I read for Nellie Olson, and we walked in and we stood behind the producer's desk and we said, damn it. And they laughed and we were hired. And that's pretty much just, a typical Little House. No, I had watched the show. Like I was the one that was cast like in the 4th season. So the show had been on, the show was a big hit. And my brother had actually been on the show as young Charles Ingalls the prior season. And because of something that happened on the set, they were recasting the part of Andy Garvey. They had already cast it. And I got a call. I'd watched the episode Bunny or The Race. I don't know which one it was, on like a Wednesday. And I got a call to audition on Thursday. I read for the casting person who took me out to Simi Valley and read for Michael Landon in the middle of Walnut Grove, at that tree. I read for Michael. And then he cast me on the spot. They sent me to the wardrobe truck, and I was working on Little House on the Prairie that morning on Friday. So I watched the show as a fan on Wednesday, and I'm in the show on Friday. And I had no idea what was going on. And again, back then, you were a kid. No one ever told me anything. And so at the end of the first episode, I was saying goodbye to everybody, and Melissa looked at me and she goes, what are you talking about? You're in the next episode. And that's how it happened. And then, of course, the year after that, Michael had Matthew play Charles once again. And then on the following season, he created Albert, and then Matthew joined the show.
Why do I feel like that Michael Landon was kind of a multitasker that way? Did you guys see a lot of like people in between, this scene and that scene and lunch, they're going to have someone come in and read for the guest spot for the next episode or something like that? Yeah.
I know he went to the editing room. He watched the dailies back in, we had dailies before we had
Marvin Coyle would pick him up.
We had a monitor where you could just do it. At lunch, he would eat his lunch and go watch the dailies from the day before. Yes, he was continuously. There were no like.
Well, and
breaks.
he had a driver, and his driver would pick him up and take him to work and drive him home, but not because he's a star, but because he was writing the next episode. He was always writing on his yellow pad.
Or at lunch. He wrote a lot of them at lunch or after work. Like when we'd be on location in Tucson, he would sit by the pool after work and write the next episode. Like he was always working.
Let's talk about Michael himself, because there have been so many books about the show, each giving different sides of Michael. So what was he like with each of you, your memories? And I'm curious, there are so many stories of him being a practical joker. Does any one case that speaks that each of you remembers about something like that?
He lived for the blooper reel. He kept, I think he had some blooper reels that he put together that he would go on Johnny Carson and, show.
Mhm.
And someone asked me, are there other blooper reels? I said, probably. And they're in a vault somewhere with his family, because no, he kept them. He loved to do things with blooper reel. I remember in Bunny, when I ride the horse into a tree branch. Fabulous 1970s special effects. It was really amazing. I did ride a tree branch. I'm lying on the grass, unconscious, just great. You can get a nap, and there's the fake blood coming out my nose. And he's directing, and he's like, okay, great. And the girls are going, no, get Doc Baker. And then there's this terrible silence, and I'm not going to sit up and go, are we done? I'm just waiting for cut, relaxing in the grass. And it just goes on, and I'm like, okay, they're not cutting. And then I hear giggling and whispering, and then I feel a finger right here, and Michael's sticking his finger up my nose, and wanted to have footage of that for his reel.
I remember, we used to catch frogs in the fake little creek that ran by the Ingalls home, and we would catch these frogs, and we would be so excited, and we would take them to Michael, and Michael would put them in his mouth and then go to talk to somebody and let these frogs jump out at them. And that was one thing he used to do all the time with us kids. And the other one I remember is poor Mary Yerke. She smoked cigarettes, and Michael found a spider and put it in her cigarette pack.
Oh, wow.
And when she went to get a cigarette, a spider came crawling out, and she was screaming. But there's also
God rest her soul. She
one.
died shortly after she was stung.
There's the famous one that he did to Johnny Carson, where they used to love to eat at the Beau Rivage restaurant in Malibu. And he took the name of Johnny's dead cat and put it on the menu at the Beau Rivage.
Oh, no.
For dinner, his dead cat was on the menu.
Oh yeah, and they had it was all cat recipes. It was all terrible, terrible stuff they put in there.
Oh, my
But
gosh.
yeah, they had them print the menu for it.
He
Insane.
came up with some really good ones.
My favorite one was one that was a big deal, especially to a young kid like me, a young boy. Melissa's mom had gotten this new Rolls Royce that she loved, and Michael had invited her to lunch, like kind of celebrate, purchase or whatever. So he took her to lunch, and that's not uncommon. It's kind of uncommon for Michael, like you guys are saying, to go to lunch. But it was, really uncommon in the sense of just sort of like for him to block off time to just do one thing. But of course, he wasn't doing just one thing. It was just all a ruse. So he takes her to lunch, and while they're away at lunch, he had the special effects guys rig a bunch of smoke bombs to her car. So when she came back and started up her brand new car, all these smoke bombs exploded and scared scared her to death. But it was so funny because I remember we were at MGM at that point, and what I remember about it was not only that it was exciting that this big practical joke was going to happen, but like the entire crew had to sneak around like ninjas to try to see it. So like it was like 80 to 100 people running around hiding behind corners to see this whole thing happen. And it was just, I just thought it was the most hysterical thing I'd ever seen.
Michael never played tricks on me, but I could understand when he did it with the kids, because he kept them laughing, and they showed up for him all the time. They just adored him. And see, I never got to work with any of the adults. I only got to work with you guys.
Uh-huh.
You were my only cast members ever. I think one time I was in church or something, and I got to see everybody else. But I watched you guys grow up. You're amazing. You are just amazing, and I want to thank you for being such good partners with me through the show.
It was Mrs. Beadle's positive influence on us.
Really?
Yeah,
Well, my sister had 7 children, from babies to teenagers, and I was used to a room full of you, so that made it easy.
I also want to ask about the setting, because the setting was like a character in its own right. just so incredibly cool to be able to film on an outdoor set that had a town on it. But you filmed outdoors a lot. So any memories where that really interfered with production, like elements or wildlife or something that impacted shooting?
There's a bird. There's a bird. I mean, there was, the airplanes occasionally, the sound and technology being what it was that we wound up having to loop. But there was a bird, and I swear it's this one bird, like a crow, that was there all the time and waited to make any noise until we were shooting a scene and someone spoke and then went ka in the middle of, so that it ruined the whole thing.
Right.
And the
Right.
heat, it was extremely hot. They kept like sea breeze and buckets to put around your neck because it would be so hot in the summertime in our costumes and stuff. And then the wind. Simi is famous for high winds.
That's literally what it means. See me. Apparently, it's Valley of the Wind. It's like that's like what it's. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Gosh, sea breeze. I haven't even heard that name in the longest time, but every makeup artist had themselves the sea breeze. Yeah. Okay.
Pour it
So
on your wrist. Pour it on your wrist
Yeah.
when you're too hot.
and it did work. Cooled you down. But if it didn't, doesn't matter. Get back out there.
Right.
Right.
So Rachel, you and your sister Sydney played Carrie Ingalls, right? So how did that division work in terms of the two of you doing that role, and what was the proportion of that? Like, was it a tough trade-off, and who took the tumble?
Well, Sydney, my stunt double, took the tumble. It's a splice of footage when it first shows it. I'm just running over the top of the hill because they needed a little B-roll.
Mhm.
But Sydney is the one that actually does the fall. And in the early days, it really was down to whatever twin was most workable. My sister was typically grumpy when she woke up from a nap, so they try and use her first when she was fresh because it took her a while to wake up after lunch. So, or one would be sick and the other wouldn't. So it was basically whoever was most workable. As we got older, we started trading off episodes. The only episode we ever fought over was God Sister because we both wanted to be Alyssa, the God Sister. And we ended up trading off. Robin ended up getting to be Alyssa a little bit more than I did. And then Robin actually developed when we were probably about 4 or 5 years old, 5 years old, I would say, a bone cyst in her upper left arm, close at the top of the bone. And so we were playing one day and she hurt her arm and my mom was like, "Oh yeah, you're fine." Well, come to find out it was broken. And after it healed, that cyst didn't fill in. So she ended up breaking it about 5 or 6 more times. And
Oh
each
my God.
time the cast would get more and more aggressive to immobilize the arm while it healed. And so every time Robin had a cast on, she couldn't work. So because of that, I ended up working a little bit more on the series than she did because she couldn't work with a cast. My mom designed these dresses so it would fit over her cast at the People's Choice Awards. So you can just see it around her hand. But because of that, I ended up working a little bit more.
So many people know this, but perhaps many don't. So when a television show or a film would cast a very young character, it was common to cast twins for a multitude of reasons. They have to. We always had to be in school, 3 hours a day. Which, by the way, you guys should have negotiated an hour and a half each. But no, they were great, obviously. But it's hard to rely on when we're not fully developed yet, we're that young, who's going to be ready for what? So it's like chances are if one's not ready, the other one is. Anyway, just thought
they would have us both in costume so they could grab whichever one at the ready because of the child labor laws. Now, not all states have child labor laws to protect kids in the entertainment industry. Kids in the entertainment industry are exempt from child labor laws unless the state passes a law to protect them. And I think there's 5 states now, Alison.
Yep. Yeah. California for a while was just California. Then New York, because all Broadway kids, and I think New Jersey came on board with them. But it's a handful of places because federal labor law exempts farms and entertainment. So we are not covered.
There's a
under
really weird
federal
story
labor.
about the movie Children of the Corn, where they had to shoot in a specific couple of months in Kansas or wherever because of that law where children were allowed to work in the fields of cornfields so that they could like actually get the crops out. And they took advantage of that and made a movie where they could work the kids for 12 hours a day.
Absolutely. And you'll see shows like, especially reality shows, will pick states that have the least number of state laws or no state laws to shoot a lot of stuff with kids. It's kind of horrifying, but there is no national law to protect child actors. We are exempt from child federal labor laws. And so only things like the Screen Actors Guild or state laws in California actually have the 3-hour school thing. And that was totally a California creation.
Did you guys have scattered call times sometimes? Like you would do the morning and then Sydney would come in for the rest of the day? Like just...
Yes, exactly. So they would bring one twin in the morning and you would get the morning shoot done and then they would break for lunch and then they would bring the second twin in the afternoon. But really, the both twins are there all day long and they're going to use whatever twin is workable. It's just a way for it to look on paper.
Yeah, right. Because they're both coming from the same household. So it's like, oh no, she's not clocked in yet. You know, she's just sitting over there.
Were you going to leave one at home? No, right.
Right.
If you were done shooting and you hadn't finished your school, you could change your clothes into your regular clothes, but you had to finish your 3 hours before you could go home.
The next day on the call sheet, you have a ton to do. You would remember banking hours?
Banking.
Oh, yeah.
Technically illegal, but they did it a lot. We were pretty good, but we did sometimes, especially the two Melissas, bank hours for school.
Charlotte, in particular you, I mean, you said you never read the books at all, didn't know about Little House. So I'm just curious if you did after, because the Miss Beadle was very different in the books than she was on the show.
Well, I wouldn't know because I never read the books.
Never read them. Never
Still have it.
I was instinctive about working with the kids because it was my family was like that. My sister had 7 kids, my brother had 3. So, and I was Aunt Char. So I grew up with every age kid you can imagine. So I was perfectly at home there. And it blew my mind how professional they were. They always knew their lines, especially Alison. They gave her all the fun stuff to do.
I had all the good lines.
I know, you were great.
Oh my God, she frightened me. I'm not even kidding. I told you.
Thank you.
I've told you this, Allison. I went to do an episode of Little House, and you were the only thing I was worried about in the drive on the way there. 2 very beloved actors were also on the show, Victor French, Merlin Olsen, and Patrick. You obviously got to work with Merlin a lot. Can you guys talk about these gentlemen?
Well, if not for Victor deciding to go to Carter Country, I'd never be on the show because Merlin was Victor's replacement of, the Haas character. Michael loved to have that character relationship of, and of course, I'm just finding out now that there were these books that you guys are talking about, but apparently he was in the books. But Merlin and the Olsens weren't, Merlin and the Garveys weren't in the books. Andy wasn't in the books. But working with Merlin was great. I mean, I've done a lot of videos about Merlin, about how paternal he was at a very difficult time in my life where, everyone talks about, though our set was like a family. Little House was different because there was a lot of families on Little House. I mean, just brothers, sisters, the crew's kids were extras. So like lots of families were there. But even more so with Merlin, I always like to let people know that, here's a guy who had, 3 kids on his own, like a real family. And I was really struggling and he stepped up and made sure that I was okay. My dad was really sick and it was something that I didn't know that he was aware of until years later when I saw a DVD extra where he's talking about it. I was on YouTube. I started crying. He was just a great, great guy. Not to mention, like, what a wonderfully naturalistic, honest actor he was. And
he was a professional football player.
Yeah. No, he was a legend. I mean, he's part of the fearsome foursome from, the Rams. I mean, it was just like, he was so scary. He was one of the scariest guys in the NFL. And when I heard that, I asked him, I said, did you ever hurt anybody? He goes, well, I had a rule. Anything on the outside of my helmet was theirs, and anything on the inside of my helmet was mine. And it's like, he was just a really cool dude.
Yeah.
I never had a chance to work with Victor, which I'm sure everybody else did, so they can tell you. But yeah, that was Merlin.
Well, Victor was like a big kid too. He was always trying to make us kids laugh. Robin remembers that we would get in a line, and we would go up to him and try not to laugh, and he would make all these faces trying to get us to laugh, and finally, like, a contest not to laugh, but then you'd have to go to the end of the line and do it all over again. Right. So he was always playing games with us too.
I mean, he was absolutely hilarious, but he was also one of the best directors you could ever meet. One of my favorite episodes, the talking machine, where I'm particularly awful, where it's when I record Laura talking about a boy and play it in school, and it's a horrible person. Victor directed that, and there's a couple of scenes where I'm just really reprehensible, and there's one where it's just this evil grin, and it was Victor who got that I remember him directing that scene and just kind of going, no, more evil, more, no. And it's just, he was able to just have me just unleash this just diabolical presence in that one. So yeah, he was great. He was a very cool guy.
I have never really talked about my relationship with Victor, because it didn't seem appropriate. But you know what? It's been 51 years, and you guys are all adults now. But Victor and I had a relationship for quite a long time. He was having a hard time, and we became friends, as they say, with benefits. And I will cherish that friendship forever.
Okay. Well, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. And yes, 5,000 people just said, wait, Miss Beadle and Mr. Edwards. And went,
yeah.
Well, it's been a long time, and we're all friends.
Her book is amazing. Have you read her book? Who's read Charlotte's book? Oh my. Okay, like 2 words, Jim Morrison.
But they only went for ice cream.
Yeah, that's totally what happened. They went for ice cream. Yes.
Yeah, because that sounds like the wholesome Jim Morrison that we all know.
Oh yeah. Well, he needed a friend as well. Yeah.
Charlotte was friendly.
She's helped a lot of people.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Now I'm 84 years old, retired, happy as I've ever been, healthy. I walk every day. Life has been very good to me.
That's nice. Well, now we know where "Come On, Baby, Light My Fire" was written about.
Very, very good friend to have. Yes, I see. So I want to ask about your character. Did any of you get input into anything with your characters, like getting a say in what they would do, or episode ideas, or were you just told, just do what's on the page?
I was
like 12. I mean, I can just say no.
They just kind of let me run wild, run free. I mean, it was often like, what did you do at the audition? We would like that. The thing we hired you for. And I just did the thing. And they didn't spend a lot of time saying, do this, do that. It was like, yes, do that and do more of that. So yeah, and we kind of stuck to the script as much as possible. But a lot of times, if you came in with the character, with the thing they wanted, the attitude was like, great, just go
with it. Go with it.
Yeah. For that.
Yeah.
I love that. Who had a storyline when you open it up? You go, oh, I wish we didn't do that. Who had a storyline that they didn't like?
Well, quickly, my storyline I didn't like was leaving Walnut Grove and being off the show. Killing my ma. That wasn't fun.
Wow.
Yeah, killing his ma was rough.
Thanks, Albert.
Well, I knew in the storyline that Miss Beadle was going to leave Walnut Grove, because they told me, in my audition, that I was going to eventually marry the pig farmer. And that's why my contract was only for 4 years. So I had an end date, already set up. So it was no big surprise. It still broke my heart, broke my heart.
I bet.
Where's Michael? He just came home.
Hi, Michael.
Hi, Michael.
Oh, look at who we got there. Oh,
That's Shayna. He just had her at the vet. So
Allison and Rachel, do you have the storyline that you just didn't want to go in and do?
Oh, I liked them all. I mean, there's the one episode I call the one where even I hated me, with Katie Kurtzman as the stuttering girl, Anna, the one, the music box. I didn't dislike the episode, but there were moments in it where I actually said, "Oh, that might be too much. Oh, have we gone too far?" Where I winced because I was so. I had a speech impediment when I was little. I went to speech class after school, and so I was friends with all the stutterers and stammerers. And here I am torturing this poor girl. I was like, ugh.
And it didn't help that Katie, you two of you are just strong actresses. She was really great in that. And
He's sobbing away, and I'm yelling at her. And
Jackie Cooper wrote a book, Please Don't Shoot My Dog, because
Right.
when they were doing The Champ, they had to do this fake story to tell him they're going to put his dog down.
Melissa told me, and I was on the pilot. They hid me underneath the bed because the Native Americans come in.
Right.
And so they need me to cry underneath the bed and be scared of the Native Americans. And Melissa Gilbert told me that they got me to cry by telling me that they were going to take my mother away and that I would never see her again. Years later, my dad's friend, Bob Tessier, who was a stunt man, he did the villain and some other things. He was Algonquin Indian, and he was a guest on the show. And my dad tried to introduce me to him because he was a friend of my father's. And he was dressed in a Native American costume. I would not face him. And my dad turned me around to try and face him. And I buried my face in my dad's chest and would not. I was so scared of them when I got older.
Right. We make jokes, but we have all these protective tools that we use for child actors, but nothing for the psychological. We're talking about it now, right? I mean,
right. I mean, I was 3. I didn't know what acting was. I didn't know. I wasn't even 4 years old yet. It was real life to me. That's all I knew.
Yeah. Oh my God, she's busted up bawling, rolling.
Get it.
Yeah, get it. All right.
Well,
Michael was amazing with that because he could cry in a second. And it was so real. I mean, his face would be full of emotion, his tears running down his face, and then cut off doing something else.
You can get cried out. I've seen people where they cried for real, but they were doing it all day, multiple takes, and they're like, okay, we bring in the glycerin.
And eventually you don't care anymore. Put my dog down.
All that emotion gets spent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I want to ask, because the show is so ingrained in pop culture now, even it's such a beloved show. It's on Peacock. I want to say where my kids have discovered it and loved it. They've gone through it a couple of times. So it's discovering a whole new audience. But while filming, did you ever feel that way? Did you ever get how much people loved it back then, or just thought, hey, this is just a show?
Well, there's two levels to that. When it was on, obviously it was a big hit. By the time I was on it, I think there's a story that it grew in the first couple seasons. But for me, the reality of it was New York and California, it wasn't a big deal, but everywhere in between, it was a really big deal.
Yep.
And then the renaissance of Little House, not that it ever went away, I think came about because we shot on film and then they did a restoration. And so it looks as though it looks brand new as far as the way that it looks when you watch them on Peacock or whatever. It doesn't look like a dated show. And, I tell the story about Michael at lunch one day. I was telling him that, we got to be afraid of Mork and Mindy because Mork and Mindy's a really big hit. And, this show's going to last forever. He goes, well, it'll last for a year or two, but Little House will be on in 50 years. And I didn't even understand what he meant because there were repeats, but there was no idea of that you would have the TV that we have now. But Michael knew. Michael already knew that it was going to be on till now and forever.
I think none of us had that foresight besides him. And I don't know if it came from, his little bit of experience on Bonanza, because Bonanza was originally designed to sell television sets. It was never intended to be a series, but it was so
specifically color,
popular that it became such a huge hit. So I don't know if he got some insight from that. But Michael was the only one that knew, and he had said that to Dean Butler as well, that it would be on after we're gone. Like it would always live on.
It's so crazy to fathom, because in 1974, there was no cable. We didn't have cable TV. We did not have VHS, let alone DVD.
No
Obviously, what's
syndication.
an internet? What's streaming? None of this existed. So the idea, like, it'll be, what will it be showing on? They're going to rerun it every day after school for 50. What are you talking about? KCOP's going to, how he foresaw, I don't, but he did. He swore that it would go on forever after. And here we all are. And just the idea that, well, okay, Matt once said during our 40th, he said, I'm looking forward to when we get a microchip so we can beam it onto our eyelids. It's just like never ending thing. And no, none of us had a clue. And Michael did. And we all feel silly now.
I remember when Alison called me to say, you want to go on the road? And I said, what for? And she said, well, there's people that want to meet us. And I said, why? I didn't get at all. And the first road trip I went on was with Patrick and Allison, and we went to a place, I don't know, Arkansas, Oklahoma, someplace.
Nowhere.
And the highway got shut down because there were 3,000 cars trying to get into the parking lot. And the highway patrol was out there going, we don't know what to do. They had one officer trying to deal with. They had no idea
one road.
that people were going to want to come see us.
One traffic light in that place, and it was backed up down there. Yeah, it was that kind of, and Nebraska with people sitting on this lawn. It's like thousands of people and they're crying. And it was when we started going out and meeting people, these huge like autograph things, these Prairie Fest, like at Walnut Grove or at, the site in Missouri where Laura lived. Just, it's like, what are we, the Beatles? What is happening?
I just want to say quickly, because my youngest is 19. When I told her that you were all coming on, she texted me back like, whoa, so cool, with like 3 exclamation points.
I have pictures of Charlotte and Alison and I like over 30 years ago doing the Hollywood show. And at that time, you were lucky if people came in really, they would like to come and meet you, but they didn't always buy pictures. You had to kind of be adaptable at the time. And now it is just its own life. It is so different now, these Comic-Cons and everything. It is really morphed.
We used to have a lull. I said to Bob, I said, remember when we had lulls? There'd be a break, it'd be signing, and then people would go do something else, and you'd have a break, and you'd chill out for a while, and then more people would come, and you'd say, "There's no." It's like, I gotta get a cup of coffee. There's no lull.
Yeah. My whole business model is to sit next to Alison because her line is so long that while they're waiting, I can pitch them my picture.
You get the spillover.
Right. Speaking to Michael Landon's foresight. So Little House on the Prairie was never going to be outdated because it was intentionally outdated to begin with. What's universal is human hurdles, human interactions, human conflict, all the things that people in real life were experiencing in their lives in the 1800s. Except now where I have little devices to we're all little Nellie Olsons on our little devices. So the Waltons and Little House on the Prairie took place 60 years apart, but people just kind of thought they were parallel, And
I was on both shows. I did the pilot for the Waltons.
Yep.
And then the next year I started Little House on the Prairie.
Oh, wow.
I'm the crossover.
You're the crossover. The mountain challenged you guys to a horseshoe tournament. And a spoiler alert, at the end, you're like, those people aren't so bad after all.
If we were a cartoon, yes, the 2 shows would have met up with the Harlem Globetrotters.
On Gilligan's Island. Yes.
And solved a crime with Scooby-Doo together. Those kind of crime. I love those. But we're friends, the Waltons gang and the Prairie
my God.
Gang. We're all big buddies. Yeah.
Eric Scott and Cammie and Mary, they're really, really adversarial people.
It's literally I texted with Cammie this morning. I was texting with Cammie.
Yeah. Very, very good people over there as well. But but anyway, at the time, getting the same demographic and, was it competitive in any way?
Well, still, what did they did that game show thing during the pandemic? It was the whole game show night online, and it was cast a Little House first the Waltons, and we were like, in your face.
Yeah.
We totally duked it out. And we won. We creamed them.
Of
But
course.
yeah, it was like
My
yes,
favorite
no, we're
quote
still
about that
terrible.
was from my brother, who said, "They don't have a chance. Did they ever burn down a blind school? I don't think so."
Mic
I
drop.
think there was always a little bit of rivalry. Like, we were talking with Dean about the Nielsen ratings, like reviewing them on set the day after to make sure that we were high in the ratings. And then, of course, in our day, there was Battle of the Network Stars. So I think there was always a little bit of competition between shows.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, Dean was on here and he was saying something. He came up with this number. He didn't come up with it. It's true, but like some ridiculous number about the millions and millions of views.
The streaming minutes.
Yeah.
It's the streaming minutes. It's so many minutes of streaming, and it added up to like 24,000 years. People who have streamed, if you total up all of their minutes over a period, it comes to like 24,000 years.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, because
Insane.
everyone, they're on Roku, they're on Amazon, they're just watching us constantly. Now that, thank you, Screen Actors Guild, streaming is now paying residuals. I have suggested to people they can turn the TV on to Amazon or Roku and just go out, walk the dog, do whatever they're doing, because it doesn't know, and we get paid the same. So.
Yeah. Noted.
Before you came on, I was looking at some of the guest stars that I like. These were like huge celebrities. Were there some that some of you just felt like, I can't believe I'm working with this person?
Patricia Neal.
She's
Neal.
my favorite.
I was just, I couldn't even speak to her. I was so impressed with her. It just knocked me out.
I was amazed that I could not get over that we were working with Ray Bolger, and that, we were with the Scarecrow himself.
Well, you got to work with Johnny Cash. Did you get to work with Johnny Cash?
We got to work with Johnny Cash. We got to work with Johnny Cash. We got to hang out with his son all day long because he was on set all the time with his parents. And then I had a huge crush on Gil Gerard when he did the Andy Man.
I think every woman on the set did.
Oh, yeah.
There was one child actor, a young boy, who really misbehaved in the schoolroom. I mean, he was not respectful to his fellow actors. And Michael said, out of here. No, that wasn't a direct thing, but he left the set that day. And, Michael wasn't going to put up with that. He didn't make a big deal about it, but suddenly the kid was gone.
Yeah, if you were really terrible, mostly everyone was pretty good because there were people who, Michael picked them, whatever. But if somebody was just too weird, we used to say, you could die in a buggy crash at any time. You would just disappear. You'd just be
the
gone
plague.
in the night.
The plague was still.
We'd have
a thing,
another
but-
plague. We'd
Yeah.
have the plague like 5 times. You'd have another plague. People would just disappear. So yeah, they'd go into the cornfields.
The Little House Mafia took care of it.
Yeah.
Send you to the cornfields.
Well, Patrick, you were replacing. There was an Andy Garvey, and
I've never gotten the real story on that, but the best story I have heard was that we had this great catering that was it Michael's that would give on Fridays or Thursdays. It was steak and lobster day, like literally. Like, are you kidding me? Steak and lobster. And I heard that the story went as Michael was walking by the kid who was playing Andy Garvey at lunch. He heard the kid say, steak and lobster again. And that was the last we ever heard of that Andy Garvey.
Steak and lobster again.
So when the show did end, not all of you were there, but when you heard that the show was ending, and then on top of that the sets were going to be destroyed, how did you all feel when you realized that this is it? Because it was such a huge part of all your lives.
Well, we were all invited to the last day. I was already off the show by 6 years or 7 years by then, but I was invited to come, and I couldn't do it. I have never seen the last episode. I will never see the last episode, and I couldn't be there and watch it blow up. So that's my opinion.
Yeah.
For me, it was like losing my family. It was really hard on leaving season 8. And the weird thing about it is, it's coming. As an actor, even at a young age, that it's not a forever gig. I mean, it's part of the package. And still, we were all so close and grew up together that when that day came, it was like really hard for me, but I didn't realize how hard it was until I was like in my 20s and I started like asking questions. But I had been really angry towards it, and didn't want anything to do with Little House and wanted to just put it aside and not deal with it. And then when I got in my 20s, I started asking questions to like Karen and Dean, and some of my fellow castmates have really helped me, and they probably didn't even know, because Michael, I was like always waiting for him to say good job, but time was money to him, and so he'd want to move on. So to hear my fellow actors say that he only gave you direction if he didn't like what you were doing. If he liked what you're doing, he just let you continue doing it. It helped me understand that I was doing what he wanted, that I was giving him what he wanted, and things like that, because I was so young. But to separate from my family and all the people I had known for the first, 12 years of my life, it was like going through a divorce and you never see the other parent and the other family anymore. Like, it was kind of like that kind of tragic separation for me.
My goodness, Rachel, that thank you for sharing that. But it's so true. You love there are a family to you. You can do a TV movie for 4 weeks and be really sad when it's over. You know what I mean? You guys were together for so long. And I'm sure I'll botch this, but in a nutshell, Dean was on here and telling us about, it's something to do with like Mike with Landon and the network and something about the future of the show, ownership or not getting picked up. But Landon went, all right, that we blow up the town. That way you can't use the sets or something anymore.
Well, it was a combo, because on the one hand, in Simi Valley, Big Sky Ranch, they're still filming stuff there now. People film. So they were like, well, go take your toys with you. If you leave it here, we're going to use it. And so he didn't really like that. And they wanted him to clear out. And then he didn't want to set because he knew other things like horror movies, or as he said, I don't want Porky's Revenge or a slasher flick being filmed in the Mercantile in the Little House. He said something about, I can't pay for everyone's therapy who grew up on the show. He said that would just be too weird. So there was a multitude of reasons, and he's like, no, we're ending it. We have to somehow end it, just end it all, clean slate, gotta go. The ranch will be happy, everyone happy. How do I do this? And then dismantling all of that, it's a chore and so what if we blew it up?
Well, to add to that, I think it was part of the contract with Big Sky Ranch.
Yeah, you had to clear it out.
It was called Tapo Canyon Ranch at that time, but it was part of the contract that we would only leave the pre-existing buildings, which had been used by Gunsmoke and Hobo Kelly and these other shows, and anything we built, we would dismantle and take away. But Mike, being so brilliant, he wrote it into the show's budget.
Wow. Well, I can't get over Hobo Kelly being referenced. Right. I can't. I'm just like, oh my gosh, Hobo Kelly. So sorry.
It was a shock to me that the show actually continued after I left. So this is all news.
No.
Who walked away with props or wardrobe?
I got nothing. They were sticklers thing about stealing, and it wasn't like now where this will be a collector's item. We didn't think anything.
I wasn't implying stealing, but like, a lot of times, something coming in, they go, I noticed you really loved this. Here, we're not going to.
Oh, they wouldn't give us nothing.
For a long time, when we moved from Paramount to MGM, they built like these little dressing rooms on the stage of MGM, and they had sliding name tags. And so for a long time, I had like this, hand painted from the art department named Patrick Labyorteaux that was slid onto my door. And then going to actually that last night, the last, wrap party, I remember my brother had one slat of the Little House. And I just remember that that's what he took from the show. And on the way home, I mean, it's funny now, but it was really sad then. He was in the back of the van just holding this thing like a teddy bear, crying his eyes out because it was over. But yeah, I mean, he's got a piece of that. And I think Stan has the house, right?
Yeah, it has that. It kind of got beat up sitting out in the shed. It has been 50 years, so it didn't hold up that well. But yeah, he took the house. He took it home, took the whole house home in pieces.
I
wore.
was the prop until I was 5. I was the prop, but I do have my double doll. So
Oh,
what
cool.
they did was they had 2 sets of dolls that Carrie would carry, and so we wouldn't cry. They would switch out the doll. The prop man would switch our dolls, give us the one for shooting, and then when the shot was over, he'd switch it out and give us our doll back so we could take it home. So that way we never cried because they took our doll away.
Yeah,
So
okay, that was nice.
happy
That was
doll.
nice. That was a good thing. Okay.
Well, I
So-
wore my own glasses to the audition. So, and I wore, Miss Beadle had the little round gold glasses, and those were mine. So I kept those. And I had my own boots, my own shoes, because I had lace up, period style boots. And they were mine too.
And you took Mr. Edwards home. So, I mean,
Yeah.
kind of you win.
And what are the heartwarming encounters you guys have with these fans who, grew up with you and like love you and you're family to them?
I get a lot from people, especially women. I became a teacher because of Miss Beadle. And, that's got to be, it wasn't me, it was the writing. But yeah, I get that quite a bit.
For
We
a lot
went
of us,
to Las Vegas to be in a celebrity baseball game back when the show was on, my brother and I. And I met this girl there. She got my autograph and we took a picture. And then years later, I married her. That's where I met my wife first in Las Vegas at a Little House event. And then obviously, life happens. I did a TV show called Jag, which she had become a producer on. We met on Jag again. And and I found out after we had been dating, she pulled out her diary and she goes, "This is the day we met." And she had the picture and everything. It was pretty amazing.
That's sweet.
I think for a lot of us, it helps them get through hard times, because for whatever reason, they get support from it, value out of it. They feel a sense of community and camaraderie. So a lot of them, it's like kind of a safe haven where they can go and escape or be with Pa for a day. We get a lot of those kind of stories too, that people that had a really hard upbringing, it was like the one thing that they look forward to every day.
I mean, I've had people come up to me. I mean, usually they come up and they're still angry about things I did. But I do get the people who say, well, I had a bully in my school, because everyone has like a Mrs. Olson at their job and everyone has a Nellie at their school. And I've had people say, I was able to stand up to the school bully. I would watch the show and said, oh, that's like that horrible girl who terrorizes me. It's I could do. And so I was useful as performing a public service. So.
Well, I want to ask also, the show's getting a reboot on Netflix, which is amazing to me.
It's a whole
So
other
your
thing.
thoughts on that? Would you appear? Have you been asked to appear?
Well, I've always said I'd do it in a heartbeat, because I'm now old enough to be Mrs. Olson. So, call me. I think it's going to be good, because if you've seen the people they got, they're great. They're great. The adorable, everybody's very good. It's completely different. They say they're going all the way back to the books. It's going to start in Kansas when Laura's little. The people who are working on it, the woman who is like the showrunner and a couple of the directors, they tend to be mostly women who grew up on the books, and in all their interviews, they're like ranting and raving about how they love Laura Ingalls and love the books and love the original show. So they're fans. It's not just some, bunch of guys with pinky rings and cigars going, we'll make a bunch of money, we'll do that Prairie thing again. It's like people who actually dig a Little House on the Prairie are doing it. So that's
What else do those men say? I love that impression.
Come in here, dear boy, have a cigar. You're gonna go far.
Yeah, the crass Hollywood. We'll just make a remake of the remake of the remake.
Now let's talk about the show itself, the upcoming reunion show itself. So like we said, it takes place December 12th to 14th at the Strathearn Historical Park, Simi Valley. So what can people expect at the show?
We have everything. Santa Claus is coming. We have Santa Claus. It's a kind of a Christmassy thing. We're going with a whole Christmas theme. We have a lot of stuff. If you go on the website that we have, there's like a whole schedule of stuff all day, because there's, the usual autograph signing. There's a party on Friday night. There's all these like VIP presentations and panels. I mean, we're going to kind of be running around in circles all 3 days.
She's making comments like this because she's a VIP, so she's trying to downplay it. But basically, you get to interact with the cast. Obviously, we'll be there. It's at a place that is obviously historic for Simi Valley and for Little House. I can't wait actually to go. First of all, I get to see all my favorite people, which is you guys.
Family
Plus,
reunion.
again, one of the things about the Little House broader family, the people that come to these events, is they're really nice. They're really nice people. This is not like the West Wing where people are going to take you to task for something. They're loving the idea that you're there. We talk about episodes. It's going to be a blast.
Yeah, our fans generally are nice. I mean, I've been to Comic Cons autograph shows, and a lot of the sci-fi people, the fans are terrible. I'm like, what are your fans terrible to you? What did you do? Our fans, they like us. We're friends with them. It's a pleasant experience. And also the Strathearn Park, they have 1800s buildings there. It's like actually the Strathearn family bequeathed this whole thing to the city of Simi. So there's actually like a little 1800s town there.
They have buildings that were historical all over Simi that have been moved to the park for preservation. My husband used to get his haircut in the barber shop with his dad. So they've moved it all from these historic buildings from all over different parts of Simi and put them in this park to preserve them. So yeah, it has a lot of history there.
Did the people come up behind me who are going to be
They
there?
did. All of us. Look at us.
I guess whoever I'm blocking, couldn't make it. No, but they'll be there.
It's valid. It won't really be snowing. It won't. It look like that, but not with snow.
We don't know. Santa's coming. Magic can happen. We don't know.
It could be magic. It could be magic.
Yeah. Thank you, Patrick. Don't stop believing. Well, you guys, we're going to ask you about where people can reach you on and all that stuff and how people can get to this event. And when we first came on, I was so happy to see you guys coming on, even on paper before we got here. And I'm looking at these pretty faces. First of all, I'm waiting for Rachel and Charlotte to get their own podcast going because everyone here has their own wonderful podcast.
I'm too busy. I'm too busy making beetle bags.
Let me see this.
It's a beetle bag. So that's what I do every day, and I'll have tons of these in Simi Valley.
That's going to be a great event. Yeah. To be there on the soil with you guys, it's pretty surreal.
I wish it was in Florida.
Well, you can go to the Miami Vice reunion.
All right, so you can get tickets on Little House on the Prairie, castreunions.com. And I'll ask you all, just for yourselves, how can people follow each of you on social media?
I'm on everything, and it's always Alison Arngrim, at Alison Arngrim, at Arngrim. I'm on everything. I'm on Facebook and Instagram.
Same with me. I'm under Alison Arngrim on all channels. Or you can spell it Patrick.Labyorteaux.
Yeah, I don't have a website. I'm too busy sewing, so no website for Miss
you.
You can find me on Facebook. I used to be on Twitter, but I rescinded that. I'm no longer.
I'm with you. We did it.
Thank you all again. I just wanted to say also, Harlan has texted me twice over the thing that Rachel, you're having trouble getting in. So apologies for that.
Getting into our Zoom room. Yeah. Harlan's the best.
He is. He really is.
Yeah. All right, you guys. Thank you so much.
Hold up. This has been Pop Culture Retro. I'm Jonathan Rosen with Moosie Drier. And again, a very special thanks to Alison Arngrim, Rachel Greenbush, Patrick Labyorteaux, and Charlotte Stewart. And you can get tickets at Little House on the Prairie, castreunions.com. Please like, comment, and subscribe.
Thank you for tuning in to Pop Culture Retro, where no one was hurt during the making of this podcast. Listening to this podcast just makes you really cool.